back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through one thing. It's just gonna solidify everything from it those.
Does come back and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Annabelle, immediately goes back, like fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
That was a lot slower than I was expecting it to be. But welcome back, everybody, to the CGL Season 13 playoffs. We've got a matchup here in our EU Masters tier between the Royal Dogs and LNX Army. I am joined with on this match by Megalast once again. You will not escape us.
No, we are. It's like the Thanos meme. We are eternal.
Whoa.
We are heckin' eternal. Anyway, yeah, we have an interesting little match here in the EU Masters round 1. Both these teams, coming in not the best regular seasons per se, but regular seasons in the past. Now you got here, you got where you needed to be, and now is where you got to put the pedal to the metal and really prove yourselves, because this is playoffs. This is what you've been playing for all season long.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams sitting around the middle of the pack in the tier, right? I mean, only one game separates them. It's a really, really close matchup here, and I expect it to be a close one. These teams have played, relatively recently. It's been a few weeks, 2 or 3 now, but it was a 3-1 victory for the Royal Dogs, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So. Maybe a little bit of revenge coming out from LNX Army.
Yeah, I mean, it could possibly be, but, obviously we have both these rosters ready to highlight for you really quickly, just so you can see the players that are going to be going through this match. Of course, Royal Dogs, as you said, Fletch, last time these two teams played, came away with the victory. Obviously, you have Racers and Sky on the DPS line 8, taking that tank role, and Fawanius and Eden on those supports. And I mean, this squad, they're just sort of together, right? They have that unity going for them. And it's probably the reason they were able to come away with that win last time these teams matched up.
Let's get a look at their opponents here. It's going to be LNX Army, Corex, Baby Jesus on the DPS, Arasaria on the tank, and Stellar and Proper holding down the back line. They may not have gotten the win in the last matchup against Royal Dogs, but I've seen firsthand what this team is capable of. And one person that I really do want to watch out for is Arsaria, who has a disgustingly good diva. And I kind of expect the diva to be where LNX Army goes for the most part, as that's, kind of where they were at the last time we saw them. But yeah, it should be another good matchup here. I don't expect it to be a blowout either way.
Yeah, no. And both these teams, they have the ability to punch above, right? It's not like their season's all been just, beating the lower tier teams or anything like that. When they go against these other squads, they're taking maps, they're taking good fights, it's not complete blowouts, so they definitely have their moments. And it especially helps when, you know, you have a team like LNX Army. They're so pivotal on that diva, like you were saying, Fletch, but they make it work for them regardless of the meta, right? And it almost sort of forces teams to react around them, because it's like, okay, do we try to counterpick the diva? Do we go off of meta, something we maybe haven't practiced? It creates such an odd sort of mental state that you have to be in for their opponents. But I mean, it's just going to be an interesting match regardless of how it goes.
Yeah, and well, we got to start somewhere, and you see it right now. Our first map is going to be Oasis, and as far as diva compositions go, I feel like it's not the worst place to start for LNX Army, and you know, I'm not really too knowledgeable on what Royal Dogs likes to run, but I'm interested to see how they're going to adapt to whatever LNX is coming out with.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it brings back that same exact question. Do you adapt to the diva? Do you try to play counter picks such as the Zarya, which are super, super common? Or do you continue to play your own game? Obviously, there's a very dominant Orisa meta that has been occurring for quite some time now. But especially down here in the Masters divisions, teams like to, you know, mix it up, get a little bit creative with it. And we've seen some unique strategies, as well as a whole new hero in the mix of being Venture. Obviously can shake things up in that regard as well. But seeing as we are starting out here on the university, I could not think of the name of it for a moment, but this has always been more of a rush map, you know, lots of Reinhardt, Ramatra can find value here, exactly what you're sort of expecting from this one. A lot of sim TP shenanigans, but at least for now in the spawn rooms, Royal Dogs highlighting that standard Orisa composition. You have the Kiriko and Lucio to sort of be the support, speed the Orisa around, let the horse be the menace, having your DPS take off angles. And meanwhile, LNX Army, instead of starting out on that diva, are going to start out on a rush themselves. They have the Mei to complement the Ramatra here. It's going to just be a little bit more in your face, but at the same time, it's got to find value quick.
All right, here we go. Map number 1, Oasis University. We'll see what's going to happen here as we get started. Right now, Royal Dogs wanting to take control of that mini room over there and do so as LNX Army plays a little bit safer, waiting it out. Arasaria trying to walk it down the Ravenous Vortex, not much of a problem for 8 in general. Spear comes out, and what a wall there from Baby Jesus. And 8 is in no man's land and has no life left to live in this fight as Arasaria walks forward and pummels down Royal Dogs. It'll be LNX Army that gets the first flip.
Yeah, and that's exactly how LNX Army needs to play this composition, right? You may wall a target away from the rest of the team, that way that cleansing Suzu can't come through or any healing, and you focus it down, right? Even an Orisa can be mortal, but 8 is just going in!
Yeah, I mean, getting aggro is Royal Dogs and 8 as they have come back into this fight. LNX Army, they're looking a little unhealthy, so they're just going to back up and disengage as they hit the rotate here. Corex is in very, very poor positioning right there, unfortunately, as the overclock comes out from Sky. This is not a good thing for for LNX Army. It's a great thing for Royal Dogs.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful. They invest the overclock there almost as the exclamation point on that fight. Nothing else needs to be thrown in, and they get a very early flip. You're seeing just how great the Orisa is right now, though, right? Able to just sort of rush in without that Mei wall being there. Baby Jesus was still on the respawn. It doesn't even matter, though, because the Orisa's still going in again.
Kitsune Rush, Terra Surge, Coalescence followed by Proper. They're just going to kite this, and that's not what you want to see for Royal Dogs with that Kitsune Rush out. And with the death of Fano and Eden, you know, it's just not a great fight there for Royal Dogs. They invested a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that was your Kitsune Rush, your Terra Surge, both in vain, only traded out for the Coalescence on the other side here. The Tracer just doing a little bit of a dance on point, trying to get as much percentage as possible here before that flip comes through for LNX Army. And now, you know, they have phenomenal tools to hold this one. They have a sound barrier. They don't really even need to sound barrier anything specific. They could just wait for another overclock to come online or anything of that nature, but they just have so many ultimates. As long as they cycle them properly here, LNX Army should be able to get 2 clean fights in a row.
Here we go. Overclock ready. Pulse Bomb not going to find a target for Knock, but LNX Army, they still have everything But that Coalescence, as the Orisa gets aggressive, they're going to throw out the Blizzard. The Cleanse comes through the sound barrier as well. Now LNX Army are throwing everything at it. Corex cleaves Nox's head from their shoulders as Arasaria tries to pummel down the Sojourn. Not quite able to get the job done here as the Orisa continues to fight. Now Sky has their own overclock ready to go, but it's only Sky and a Lucio left on the point. Sky able to put a bullet between proper sternum there as LNX Army are just going to have to fall back and play a little safer here for now as they wait for their Orisa to come back.
I mean, yeah, they're waiting on their Orisa, but without Proper in the fight, that's a major source of healing down for LNX Army, and you're seeing it already affect their health pools heading into this next fight.
Arasaria very low, a good wall, a good defensive wall there from Baby Jesus. Now the Coalescence out from Proper, try and keep this fight going, and Baby Jesus says get down Mr. President for Proper so that they don't cancel out that Coalescence. But with Baby Jesus being all alone still in this fight, it will be LNX Army being the ones to disengage this time.
Yeah, but I mean, Royal Dogs might not even give them a chance to disengage. Look at how forward they are playing right now because they realize just what tools they have, and they realize the enemy team has expended pretty much everything. No ultimates for LNX Army heading into what could be final fight. Meanwhile, 8 with another Terror Surge just being able to displace people and potentially get some massive damage on just some crucial targets.
You see Fawn trying to find a boop there, not quite able to get that job done, but now it's LNX's Army's turn to get aggro. Follow very low, very dead, get chased down by Baby Jesus. Now the Blizzard is here for LNX Army, and 8 just trying to cancel it out with that Terror Surge. Sky's overclock has to find something, anything, but in the face of the sound barrier from Stellar, it will find the opposite. It'll find absolutely nothing, and at 90%, Royal Dogs will be hard-pressed to get anything else, especially with Felonius going down there. It'll be a touch from Knock, but that will not be enough to get yeah, it won't be enough to get overtime ticking, and LNX Army take not Nepal, but Oasis University.
There's been a lot in Nepal, so I see the confusion there. But yeah, I mean, very interesting way how that round shook out, 99-99 at the end of it. But I don't know, there was just sort of this extra X factor. LNX Army, they came into that last fight, no ultimates in their name, but they were able to build up towards them, and Royal Dogs, they didn't really push their advantage all too much. So now heading into our next point here, you're seeing very interesting little swap up. Royal Dogs has decided to opt into the Diva gameplay. Meanwhile, LNX Army, they're playing the Winston, at least for now here. And this is just going to be to control this high ground that's so oppressive, right? You have the jump pad, obviously, but being able to get up there without it is just that much better. So it'll be interesting to see how these teams want to continue to hold this.
He's going to get aggressive on the Corex, take down the Echo early, and Arasaria just sees what's happening right now and is going to jump right out of this fight. They're going to try and find Proper, they do. But Arasaria, I figured this would happen as soon as 8 came out on the Diva. Arasaria says, nah, that's my character.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, going toe-to-toe with a Diva like Arasaria is going to be no small feat, but 8 with this defensive positioning on the high ground is going to be hard to dislodge, right? That Diva has just such massive HP pool as we're on board with a little bit of a Tracer 1v1 on the other side.
Knock has to use the recall early, is able to grab the Mega Health Pack. Can they find this pick? They do find a pick onto Sky, does Arasaria, and Baby Jesus gets the better of the Tracer duel against Knock there as Arasaria continues to go to work on this point, showing why she is the Diva player.
Yeah, I mean, don't play Diva against her, right? That lovely, amazing highlight video we have. There's a reason she's the Diva player doing crazy work in that one. But yeah, so now LNX Army, they get a good flip here. Royal Dogs only managing to get 36% in their favor, but building up to some solid ultimates on either side. The only thing really online right this second is going to be Baby Jesus' Pulse Bomb here. So it could be either a nice eat from 8 or a good stick onto somebody to get an early pick.
All right, here we go. Baby Jesus is in the back line in the face of that defense matrix. We'll use recall, but Corex this time is going to be the one that gets the first pick. And now LNX Army, they're just going to get hyper aggro as Eden falls. They see that Knock is up on that high ground, and it will be a pretty definitive fight win for LNX Army.
A massive fight win. Oh my goodness, those stickies though. Baby Jesus just did not have the recall, it seems. Decided that they were just going to go down there. And so now you're seeing a complete disengage from LNX Army. They're going to try to get their Tracer back into this one before taking a proper fight. And it's going to be a heavy ult fight on both sides. Nobody used anything just yet, so it's just going to be all thrown in the kitchen sink here.
And now one Kitsune Rush is out. Proper's more than likely to come in here at some point later, maybe not, as Arasari has to use the self-destruct to get back into mech. Corex with the duplicate on to the D.Va themselves. 3 D.Vas on this field right now. Now Proper's turn to use Kitsune Rush is here, and the later ultimate is going to be the better one, and it's significantly later. The bomb from 8 to get back into the mech, just like Arasaria, but for as long as 8 doesn't have a mech, Arasaria is going to work and continues to do this work.
Yeah, just more and more from that D.Va, just absolutely pounding in the damage here. Royal Dogs actually managing to hold on to the point. Somebody is still contesting back here. Looks to be the D.Va. 8 will finally be removed, but, you know, LNX Army, they won that without having to invest all too much, whereas Royal Dogs, they threw every single ultimate into it. So now heading towards what could be these final fights, LNX has a massive advantage, and it's going to be on Royal Dogs to find some crazy pick potential to get themselves back into this one.
All right, here we go. 80% now for LNX Army. Baby Jesus pulse. Waiting and stalking with this pulse bomb ready to go. A couple of really good targets here for it. That's not one of them. They get the cleanse out, though. That's big now. Able to get away back to the point. Gets the sound barrier to heal up a little bit. Still has the pulse bomb ready to go. The cleanse saves Baby Jesus' life there. So the Tracer's still alive. Not quite able to find the stick with the pulse bomb, but does get the cleanse out one more time. 8, very, very low. Forced out of the fight by Arasaria and Corex here, who will pop that duplicate, and you know, onto this Sojourn. It's going to be a lot of supplemental damage, a lot of extra damage, and it's just nothing that Royal Dogs can stand up to. And you know, Arasaria decided that you cannot stand up to her on the D.Va LNX Army. Take map number 1.
Yeah, I mean, LNX Army drawing first blood here. It shows, you know, just how close these teams are. Obviously close in the standings in the last time they came against each other, being 3-1 for Royal Dogs. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean all too much if you're confident in the moment, and they were doing just that, right? They sort of brought them to their own game. They said, okay, we'll play the D.Va into you, and I don't even see necessarily why you would opt into that. Arasaria is just that much better. But also, there's got to be a massive highlight onto Baby Jesus, who, while necessarily not getting every single limb that you'd expect from a Tracer, right? Just being this constant nuisance, constantly having people turn for you, it creates so much opportunity for your team, right? There are so many moments where the Kiriko's forcing abilities, the Sojourn's having to look at you, and you know, pulling that pressure away, putting your team at a 4v3 advantage in a lot of those fights, simply because the resources are being put into Baby Jesus, who manages to live time and again. I mean, that's another way to play Tracer, and it's being shown off so well here.
Yeah, I mean, Baby Jesus was able to get out cleansed twice in that last fight. So that was, yeah, a strong performance overall by LNX Army. And you know, they started out on a composition we didn't necessarily expect, and it worked out pretty well. You know, the first was pretty close, but LNX Army were the ones that had the ice to get the job done. And you know, I talked so much about Arasaria's D.Va, and you know, I didn't really expect Royal Dogs to come out on D.Va, nor did I expect Arasaria to come out on Winston. But yeah, Arasaria saw the D.Va and then saw red and is like, no, that's my character. What? Who are you?
Yeah, I mean, call them out exactly where it is. But I mean, speaking of D.Va, very interestingly here, Royal Dogs have the next map selection, and going over to Hybrid, they have picked Eichenwald, which I think regardless of meta, there's always been this sort of niche for D.Va here, especially on second point. Being able to contest those high grounds with the boosters coming up and down over and over again, it really is just such a nice place for D.Va to really feel optimized. So I don't know if that's necessarily Royal Dog's plan, if they're just going to try to run some standard, meta of some kind, or if they're going to try to go for something even more outlandish. But Ikenwell, just a very interesting pick to come through here, I think.
Diva does not lend herself well, or as well on the first point. So I think if Royal Dogs has defense first, which I don't know who will have defense first because it's the winner of the map picks which side they play on. But I mean, I feel like the Orisa composition, if you're gonna run it anywhere, which it is very strong across the entire map, but if you're gonna run it anywhere, it's first and third, because second point is that dominant dive map, or that dominant dive point that we kind of expect to see the Diva to dominate on. But coming into this map, it will be Royal Dogs on the defense first, so I guess we will see what they're gonna roll out on.
Yeah, it's always the question of, what the defenses choose to do, because defense on Ikenwell Point A, you can really get kind of creative, right? This is a point where it's not uncommon to see Junkrats, Torbjorns, things of that nature, just because the value you can get from these narrow choke points. At least for now, Royal Dogs are going to opt into a double hit scan approach, having that Cassidy as well as the Sojourn here. And then the Ramatra, it's so interesting to play the Ramatra because I feel like you almost need the Mei, kind of like how you needed Mei to play with Reinhardt. It just helps the Ramatra get that much more value, and it seems Royal Dogs have just decided to not opt into that. They'd rather the pick potential come through. Meanwhile, LNX Armies... but LNX Army, I mean, yeah, they're going to play the Mei. You're going to see a grapple shot here. If this Widow gets something, I'll cry. Okay.
Put the tissues away, Megalas. It's okay. All right.
Widows scare me.
Yeah, well, they scare me too. That's a valid fear, not irrational. But here we go, LNX Army on their attack here. Very, very traditional composition coming out here. They just want to play for speed, run it down Royal Dogs, and popping this Nemesis form is Arasaria, ready to fight, ready to pummel down. The wall comes out. Not a lot of value from the wall as Eden go to work, and Baby Jesus tries to find some kind of pick here, but not quite able to do so with that Ice Beam.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that Arasaria came out with the Nemesis form so early, it allowed for just a light disengage to come through. That wall wasn't in place for Baby Jesus just yet, so 8 felt no pressure to use theirs until after it was said and done, and being able to come in with those Fists of Fury on the defense was just massive. So heading on to this next one, you're going to have to see Arasaria try not to force that cooldown too early.
Well, Arasaria, I believe actually both Ramatras have used the Nemesis form now, so this is the time to get aggressive here, but I mean, without Corex in the fight, it's not going to be an easy one. That is significant amounts of damage. 8 staying alive by the skin of their teeth with the help of both support ultimates there. It will be Royal Dogs bringing this one out once again.
Yeah, that's the caveat, though, right? You had to use both of your support ultimates to keep your Ramatra alive and healthy in that one. So now LNX Army have a good advantage heading on into this next fight. Obviously, Royal Dogs, they still have some other power in their arsenal with this Annihilation as well as the Overclock and Deadeye. But, the support ults, especially the Sound Barrier, can help you survive through quite a lot of that.
All right, here we go, LNX Army. Heavy in the ult department, and it will be the Blizzard that comes out first, but Corex does not need them to be frozen to hit the shot. Sky very low, that Deadeye can only defend so much damage. I mean, Arasaria cleans up a couple of those kills, but they used 4 ultimates.
I mean, use 4 ultimates to secure, right? And at the end of the day, if you want to get off this Ramatra, now you're on point B, so you can. So it's an option to have, right? That being said, it seems like they're wanting to stick on for the time being, and they're also attempting to control this high ground. It's going to be a super interesting approach, especially when the Cassidy's already flanking behind you, raining in damage. You could get surrounded very easily here if you're LNX Army.
Proper slid in there pretty quickly, and they're going to get traded, fortunately, for a knock, that is. But as this Cassidy rains hell down from the high ground, you see Baby Jesus putting up a wall there to try and keep them from doing any more damage as Corex takes this flank, and Arasaria will join. Excuse me. But they're going to push Royal Dogs back as nobody's on the cart right now. They're trying to absolutely lock down this attack, but Sky is able to remove Corex's frontal lobe with the revolver there. As LNX Army, their plan, it was an interesting one, but it does not work out as it's Royal Dogs' turn to get aggressive here. The Coalescence from Eden comes out here, and Stellar responds with that sound barrier. Now both Coalescences are in play here as Nock pops this overclock here. Corex responds by canceling the overclock, and the Deadeye, will find Arasaria there, and Royal Dogs finally can take a breath. They've defended the point.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say it's necessarily a defense of the point. It's the defense of the castle setup here. The payload is almost secondary here on Eichenwald, unless you can force some sneaky little payload pushes and backcaps with a tracer or something of that nature. This castle control is really where it's at, and you're seeing why, right? You're having this Sojourn and this Cassidy both just hold the high ground super aggressively, raining down damage almost uncontested, and it forces LNX Army to kind of take the fight here.
I'll take the fight. LNX Army will with the help of Baby Jesus' Blizzard. But that is an unfortunate turn of events here. The Blizzard got the Ramatra, but with the loss of Corex here, it's going to be rough. I mean, they just have such a lack of damage without that Sojourn in the fight, and Royal Dogs respond perfectly to the Blizzard.
Yeah, the sound barrier was there. It was absolutely clutch in keeping everybody nice and healthy through that Blizzard, as well as A had the Annihilation going, so you couldn't really feel too comfortable standing next to that Ramatra. You're still having damage be dealt to you. And now is where LNX Army is deciding to make some swaps. They're going over to the Genji as well as this Diva to try to assault this high ground a little bit better, but Corex can't even get to the castle door.
Yeah, some great shots from Sky as Baby Jesus wants to get aggro with Arasaria, but I mean, with Popper going down, LNX Army, they just have to disengage here. They just want the free cart push, but they won't win this fight.
Yeah, but it's not going to be free cart push, because now you're going to get staggered out a bit, as you're seeing there from Stellar, and everybody else is having to run for their lives. It's, looking like a very good defense right now for Royal Dogs heading on into this next fight. They're going to have another Coalescence online. It's crazy how fast that support ultimate builds. But again, 2 more DPS ults to rain down from this high ground. The only caveat being that Arasaria can maybe mitigate some of that with the defense matrix of Diva, but it's still going to be a tough ask.
All right, here we go. 30 seconds on the clock for LNX Army. We'll see what they can do here late in this round. Nock has a railgun, has the overclock ready to go. Throws out the disruptor shot, but Arasaria happy to eat that one up. Now the overclock from Corex has to be big. The Deadeye, I think, is behind. It was behind Corex, unfortunately, for the Sojourn, not finding much of anything as Nock puts an end to this with their own overclock. Oh, that was close for Sky, but able to keep one pinky toe on the map. But a great flank Deadeye there puts an end to LNX Army's attack here.
Yeah, Royal Dogs played that perfectly, taking advantage of the high ground. It forced LNX Army into a position where even though they swapped onto the composition that you thought could get to the high ground really effectively, right? There was just so little time left in the bank that had to be the Diva staying on cart, trying to get some cart progress going. And unfortunately, it just was too little too late. That damage was already dealt from the high ground from Royal Dogs. And now they find themselves in a very, winnable position to tie up our scoreline 1-1 here.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the adaptations came through slow for Ellen. I think the Diva would have been a better pick overall. But, it just took them too long, and they couldn't build up any of those major ults that the composition wanted. They didn't have the Kitsune Rush Light. They didn't have a sound barrier. They didn't have the self-destruct. And Royal Dogs, they were comfortable on their Ramatra, and they had the resources to win those fights out.
Yeah, and so now you're starting to see some new compositions here on this defense for LNX Army, and you know, already looking at the head-to-head of the Ramatra versus the Sigma, right? It's just going to be a game about closing that space. The Ramatra's going to want to get in your face, whereas the Sigma, as well as with the Ashe in tow, it's going to be all about just sort of keeping that Ramatra as far away as possible. That way your Ashe, your Alari, all of these characters can just get some range damage in. And, you know, it's going to come down to some good speed boosts and things of that nature to make sure this Ramatra can get in and do that damage needed.
Alright, well, Sky throws out a couple of headshots there. No final blows, fortunately, for LNX Army. But yeah, Nock going to change that narrative immediately for the pick on to Stellar here. Nock receives some dynamite, some sticky bombs, but is finding, you know, a lot. Just going to jump into the face of this Ashe. And yeah, it's going to be able to just get the job done nearly alone. Follow able to jump in there and help out, but Royal Dogs just breeze right past LNX Army on point A.
Yeah, that's a fast point A cap. And it's going to give them, I believe it's going to be 5.5 minutes to get towards the end of point B, not even having to get all the way to get this checkered box of victory. But LNX Army, they're going to be able to get a good defense here in theory, right? They have this high ground advantage now. As long as there's not some stray arrows coming through from Sky on the Hanzo, this Ashe should be able to rain down damage from above, as well as, you know, people like Proper on the Ilaria, you know, a sort of hidden source of damage, but, you know, the hero really can just put out insane amounts of damage if you let it.
Yeah, you know that firsthand, don't you, Megalass?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. I mean, Proper pops the Captive Sun, but immediately just meets his demise. Korax taking a lot of damage here. It's just too much for LNX Army. Royal Dogs are just breezing past this fight right now.
Yeah, and that payload's moving ever closer here. You cannot lose another member, because otherwise you're going to have to come in to almost do a stagger fight for your final fight. And you want as many people there as possible. You're going to have some ultimates to your name, the duplicate as well as the Bob. It's going to probably be a rush out here from the Orisa. The Orisa's so low already, though.
All right, well, they're able to get into this fight here. Sound barrier out. They have a duplicate for Baby Jesus, who... Did someone go off the map? Just I might be
Bob. It
crazy.
was Bob.
Okay, Bob takes a dip in the water as 8 goes down. I mean, this is still a very winnable fight for Royal Dogs. The health pools of LNX Army are not looking great, but finally they're going to find some footing here on point B, but they still have 4 minutes in the time bank for Royal Dogs.
Yeah, 4 minutes and, you know, some more tools to work with. Another Dragon Strike from Sky, as well as an Annihilation that could be forced on cart. That Bob interaction was really interesting now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm 90% sure that Bob landed on the ledge, and that's why he didn't see it in the kill feed. But, you know, it is what it is. Heading on to this next fight, like I said, this Ramatra's just going to want to get to cart and drop this Annihilation there.
Okay, Arasaria, trying to get disrespectful, but 8, just like Bob, hits the platform there, but without Proper, that is a significant amount of damage gone, but 8 being pushed into the fight again as Arasaria just wants to tell 8 where he can and cannot go.
Yeah, and now they're trying to take this Orisa down, but you're seeing why Orisa is meta right now. So survivable, so tanky between all of those cooldowns. Manages to live once again. And, you know, LNX Army, they're finally found a defensive composition that's working for them, and they're standing tall.
3 minutes now. They were able to waste a decent amount of time there for the Royal Dog. And yeah, this Orisa composition is starting to gain some steam. You can't feed like that, though. Baby Jesus gone early in this fight. Now it's going to be a 4v5 for the map. 5 meters remains. Now 2, it'll be Proper trying to keep the team alive with this Transcendence. And they'll do a good job for the time being, as you see Follow trying to find something to boop off, and Baby Jesus returns to the fight and gets a pick of their own. Yeah, Arasaria finally gets the just asserts, and LNX Army are able to ward the Royal Dogs off one more time.
Yeah, I mean, this defense is starting to really come together. I mean, they invest the Transcendence early in that fight, knowing that they were down Baby Jesus, and it really just sort of paid off for them in terms of being able to hold the castle and stuff. And so now the Sky is being punished by the Zenyatta. You know, it's not the first time I've seen proper kill a Tracer in the kill feed, but hey, it is what it is. Royal Dogs, they're really starting to feel like they're on the back foot. They've got to come into this one feeling confident at least, because they should have both support ultimates. They'll have their overclock. I mean, this is going to be the fight to win if there is one.
All right, now a minute and a half whittled down from 4.
Payload.
Yeah, they'll be okay. Now Bob gonna come out from Corex. Not gonna go off the map this time. So much damage being provided by my good man Robert, and LNX Army standing strong, stone walling, trying to keep this team away is Arasaria. Pulse Bomb is out from Sky, able to take down Corex, but Arasaria in the low ground, underground, able to take down 2-3 now, and it's just the Tracer left. 49 seconds remain for Royal Dogs on their attack.
You know, Royal Dogs, they didn't invest anything besides that Pulse Bomb. So, I mean, you know, you'll take that as your sort of victory, right? You got the Terror Surge out and you forced the Bob out. You're seeing Corex now over to the Widowmaker to try to get some more confident pick potential. But, you know, this has to be this fight with your support ultimates.
All right, Sound Barrier from Follow, early knock with the overclock. Going to be able to take it down Corex in that sniper duel, and Arasaria solo, very, very dead. Now it's up to the Transcendence to get this touch, and with the duplicated Tracer, they're going to be able to take down Knock here. So 7 seconds remain. Corex returns through the door to pop Sky's head off, 0.03 meters, and they don't touch!
Literally, that's crazy. LNX Army, like, I understand how difficult it is for the BAP to touch there, but if you stood on the payload, your Corex was raining damage on this Widowmaker. It could have been the shots you needed. That Ramattra was so unbelievably low, but you know, just at the end of the day, their claws were drug in for Royal Dogs. They were determined to not let that map slip away. And, you know, just from being on payload, they were able to do it at the last minute.
Oh my god, what a map. What a map there. Very, very close. And I thought Royal Dogs would just, you know, absolutely run circles around LNX Army, but LNX Army stood strong for a very long time. I mean, that Orisa switch is... I mean, you saw it. That's why she's meta. That's why she's the best tank in the game that counters all of the other tanks. Like, she's that good right now. So moving forward, I'm interested to see, does LNX Army stick onto the Orisa? I know they don't probably want to. I know Arasaria has preferences. She'd rather play the Ramattra, the Diva, anything other than the Orisa. But when push comes to shove, you're in the playoffs now. You don't have that that space to make that decision where, oh, I'm just going to play the character I enjoy more than the character that is great, the best right now. Because Arasaria looked great on the Orisa too. So moving forward, I'm interested to see if LNX continue to play that. But we will take a short break, and when we come back, we will see what LNX Army will do moving forward, and if Royal Dogs can continue their momentum into the rest of the series. So stick around. All right, welcome back, everybody. We got a series on our hands, Megalas. Royal Dogs able to even up the score there on Eichenwald. And it's LNX Army's map pick here going into map number 3, Flashpoint. It's going to be Suravasa.
Yeah, I mean, not really a surprise. New Junk City is always going to be the rare pick when it comes through for Flashpoint. A lot of people just feel more comfortable on Suravasa. And, I absolutely see why, right? The point's just not as much fluctuating high ground. It's more just symmetrical, being able to sort of take those rotations, very systematic almost in the way that the map is approached. So, again, I will never fault the team for picking this one. I do enjoy it as well. It's going to be interesting to see what we roll out on here. The only thing I'll really guarantee is that Lucio that you need for Flashpoint, right? It's always going to be a necessity. But outside of that, these teams have already shown that they're willing to flex to a variety of compositions. And, it could just continue to evolve as we continue to go. We started seeing that Orisa meta creep up in that last map, but both these teams have shown an eagerness for the Ramatra today. It's always fun to see that mirror, especially when you have the speed boost to follow it up. So I'm interested to see how it goes down.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff that has worked well for both of these teams, specifically LNX Army. I mean, they've shown us a lot, like a lot. Royal Dogs have been pretty comfortable on their Ramatra for the most part. So I kind of expect that to be what Royal Dogs comes out on. LNX Army, however, we've seen, like I said, a lot.
Yeah.
Orisa, Diva, Ramatra, Sigma. I mean, they've shown us 4 such different compositions thus far that I'm interested to see if they bring out something else, because we know how good Junker Queen is on this map with how straight some of these points can be, and how much value that she gets with the commanding shout. So maybe Arasaria comes out on the Junker Queen ? Hello, Fred. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, shout out to... Gotta love the alligators. They're just really making the best. Well, actually, these are crocodiles, aren't they?
It's Fred.
It's just Fred, of course. My apologies. But yeah,
Dude,
I mean...
I think that... Oh my god, I think...
But the Junker Queen's always going to be an interesting pick, especially now. One of the few characters that actually received some buffs during this Season 10 patch that were on that Carnage Axe Swing. Just going to do a little bit more damage to try to keep in line with all the HP buffs that everybody got at the start of Season 9. So it's going to be interesting to see, for the first time, this matchup of the Junker Queen versus the Ramatra, right? Both these comps are going to want to play fast, but with the Cassidy in tow for Sky, I feel like Baby Jesus is going to have a bit of a rougher time continuing to find some success on this Tracer.
All right, here we go. Market is going to be where we begin, as always, on Suravasa. We'll see which of these teams is going to come out on top as the point unlocks. Arasaria pops the commanding shout early there, and 8 with this Nemesis form is going to be happy to try and run down the Corex on the Sojourn and get the job done there, as Royal Dogs will be the first ones to take the flip.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's just they're able to command and be a lot more sturdy than the Junker Queen composition is, right? Baby Jesus is going to have to find some sort of pick potential on this Tracer, potentially onto a support of something of that nature. Otherwise, Royal Dogs, they're just going to continue to stand tall and stand firm with the Cassidy and Ramatra health pools just being so massive.
Here we go. Arasaria popping that commanding shout early means that they will not have the speed or the extra health, or their Tracer for that matter. Luckily, it's a trade here, as Corex takes a lot of damage, has to slide away. Sky trying to find that, and will absolutely ripping the head off of Corex there, as Arasaria tries to disengage, but Sky will not allow it.
Yeah, and it's just more and more value that you're seeing this Cassidy get, constantly being able to just fire shot after shot with the space being provided by 8 on this Ramatra. So would not be surprised to see them just give up market entirely here. LNX Army probably focusing their attention towards the next point, where they're going to be at a slight disadvantage. Baby Jesus over to the Genji now instead of the Tracer means that they're going to be at a bit of an ult disadvantage, as well as Arasaria now on the Ramatra mirror as we're heading on over to Temple.
All right, I thought they were going towards something more Jotzi, but looks like they just want to run the Ramatra. So this will be interesting as Baby Jesus gets hindered here. Kitsune Rush out from proper Baby Jesus in the next area code now. But this damage coming out from Royal Dogs. Can they take out Arasaria? They can. She puts her hands down for a split second, and 8 takes perfect advantage, and it will be Royal Dogs that definitively win this first fight out on Temple.
Yeah, and it was not the best look from LNX Army because they invested Kitsune Rush, they invested Overclock, and ultimately came up with nothing. We're seeing more swaps come out from them now here. They're opting out of that longer range with the Sojourn into the Cassidy, as well as Baby Jesus back over to the Mei, and this is going to help Arasaria just have so much more value and impact on this Ramatra, and Royal Dogs, now they're the ones that have to try to keep LNX Army at bay to get value out of their comp.
Alright, here we go. Royal Dogs, so much in the bank, but they do not have a Moira anymore as this Overclock comes out. They need to find something with it. They find something with the Deadeye. So, I mean, the value that LNX Army are getting versus Royal Dogs is not as high.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a massive missed opportunity in that fight from Stellar to use this sound barrier to live through the, that onslaught of DPS ultimates, right? It could have been the key needed, especially considering you were able to get that first pick so early for LNX Army. So now they're going to have to try to come into this one in touch at that 99 mark. The upside being they'll have that sound barrier now to choose to invest just to help sustain this fight better.
All right, sound barrier to get aggressive. They get the touch. The overtime begins to tick here. Arasaria does have Annihilation. She will probably be looking to pop it here as Royal Dogs, they still have 5 players ready and willing to fight. Just playing, chilling out, trying to see if they can get anything else out of LNX Army, and they do. It's the Kitsune Rush. Do Royal Dogs expect their Kitsune Rush to be over there rather than where they were holding before? I don't think they do. As they see it, they're going to rotate back around to try and find something as the Kitsune Rush fades away. Royal Dogs at 99%. No, they just need to get the value to stay alive, and they lose 8 early, so they need to play safe. They need to get out alive here or die.
Yeah, I mean, interesting choice from 8, stuck in the slow field, and instead of, turning around, just presents Ramatra's head as a massive hitbox for anyone to look at. But hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. LNX Army now having a bit of confidence behind them, heading towards what will be the final fight on this point. Royal Dogs are coming in with quite a few ultimates of their own, though. 8 dropping incredibly low to start.
Alright, here we go. Ultimates on both sides, ready to go.
They can touch.
Follow. Not able to get there, has to just slink away with the loss. LNX Army comes up clutch in the final seconds, able to come back from a 99-0 deficit.
Yeah, and they choose to just run right back into Ruins where our next point is going to be, and it's going to be a heavy ult fight from both of these teams.
All right, Deadeye from Sky to try and defend against 3! Sky with the massive Deadeye 8 popping the Annihilation to clean it up, but it will be Royal Dogs warding off LNX Army for the time being.
A massive Deadeye, right? That damage, it amps up the longer you're able to hold it, and what better place to hold it than in the safe arms of a Ramatra. 8 was, taking all of the space, creating all of the pressure that LNX Army had to respond to. The advantage, obviously, now being in LNX Army's favor with all 5 of their ults on one.
All right, here we go. Deadeye from Corex. Not as big, but just as valuable for Corex. Able to take down Sky, takes down Follow, and it will be Royal Dogs faltering this time as LNX Army are going to take the flip.
They take the flip at 40%. Royal Dogs managed to hang on to their overclock throughout that one, but on the other side of things, Stellar finally has a chance to get this sound barrier in line with countering a DPS ultimate, because that's all either of these teams have. Besides that, it's just going to be about the raw pick potential coming out from both of these squads.
All right, here we go. Nock wants to get aggressive with this overclock very, very soon. Just trying to find a little bit of railgun charge before popping it so they can get as much value as they can, but it'll be the overclock come out early. Nock hindered out, has to play safe. Can just barely see the hat of Corex and is able to take down the Cassidy early, and with the sound barrier from Stellar, They're going to ward off Royal Dogs for, you know, a couple of seconds anyway, and now they're going to get aggressive one more time. The hinder comes through onto Baby Jesus, but this Nemesis form from Arasaria is providing a lot more damage than Royal Dogs would like, but without Arasaria in the fight any longer, LNX Army will not be able to get this job done any longer, but they did a good enough job getting it to 99%.
Got it to 99, and they're guaranteed to have another fight, seeing as Royal Dogs is only at 40%. Granted, it's probably going to be only just the one fight, but that could be enough. They're going to have to look down the barrel of, you know, the Deadeye once again from Sky, as well as another Annihilation. That combo was so deadly before, and you're going to have to find a solid way to mitigate it here from LNX Army if you want to get back into this point.
All right, cleanse out from Proper early. That's unfortunate. Probably would have survived, but this Kitsune Rush from Proper has to be large. Now the Annihilation, the Deadeye from Corex can take down this. The Moira had the skull, but no luck there as Sky comes up big once again with the Deadeye. 3 for the Cassidy, and there's just nothing LNX Army can do. Royal Dogs, they're gonna take the Ruins.
Take Ruins, move themselves up to map point here. And they're doing rather well, right? They had to invest heavily into that last fight to make sure that they secured it. But hey, however, you gotta get it done, because now LNX Army, they find themselves on the back foot as we're heading on over to the Garden, I believe. And again, it's just going to be a very interesting sort of situation where LNX Army, they have some ult advantage here. They should be able to win this fight out with either the Blizzard or Annihilation, but they have to start worrying about potential fights after that.
All right. The Garden unlocks in 5 seconds, and both of these teams playing for the positioning, and the Blizzard is early, and there's nothing that the Cassidy or the Sojourn can do. They just get frozen up, taken down, and you see Follow wanted to try and stall that out, but the first flip goes to LNX.
Yeah, and this is always such an interesting point on Flashpoint, right? Because obviously Royal Dogs are going to continue to assault this, are going to continue to try to get in, but they don't have to win this point, right? They can just sort of stack their ultimates, force LNX Army to invest over and over again, and bring it to that final point and put themselves at a massive advantage there. So it really comes down to Royal Dogs, how much they choose to invest. It seems like they want to go with Overclock.
And the Overclock will come out from Nock, but walled off for a bit. 8 hindered up and not able to be taken down though here, as without Arasaria on the field. It's just not going to be a fight that LNX can win.
I mean, yeah, and it's very interesting that they choose to invest, but hey, they're finding value in their investment there. Just throwing the Overclock in means that they'll get flipped on this point, and now LNX Army is going to have to truly start investing heavy to respond. But Royal Dogs, I mean, they're going to have Coalescence, they're going to have another Deadeye here. You know, 1 or 2 fights is all that they need to secure this Flashpoint map in their favor. And LNX Army, again, they've got to be the ones to respond.
And LNX, they have the tools to do so, but as do Royal Dogs, so we'll see which of these ultimates is going to be the one that puts the dagger into Garden. LNX playing slow, trying to find something. The Kitsune Rush is that something. The Deadeye from Sky, been so big, continues to be big. The Annihilation from Arasaria just not good enough for the Ramatra, but she cannot do everything. That said, this fight is still going as Arasaria finds 8, but so low is it the Ramatra that Arasaria cannot finish it out. And I mean, you just have to die there. LNX Army, they're gonna return here. Nock being chased down by that orb found by Corex. Finally, they find some kind of footing, but with the return of the forces for LNX, Royal Dogs are also doing that exact same thing. Corex has no recall, no way to stay alive. Arasaria off the map! The Blizzard from Baby Jesus could be big here. They're going to take down Sky. They're going to take down the Moira. The return of 8 on this Ramatra has basically put this map away right here, right now. The Moira has to come in and touch one more time. It's just desperation. Arasaria is here as well. The slam comes through, but the touch has to come from the punch. There's just so much in the wings for Royal Dogs. They have all of the resources ready to go, and without Corex, without the Lucio, they're just there's just nothing they can do.
No, they fell by the wayside here, and Royal Dogs will now move themselves up to match point, taking Cervasa in an interesting fashion there. LNX Army, you know, it felt like everything was, you know, in their favor, right? It was almost like a Jenga tower that was perfectly set up for them to grab an easy block, and something just gave, and they just crumpled apart, possibly off of the back of Deadeyes like that coming out from Sky. But, you know, now LNX Army, you know, your back's against the wall. There's no more room to give. You gotta sort of put together some performances here if you want to win this series.
Yep, and the unfortunate thing is that from here on out, if they want to win the series, you're gonna have to do it on Royal Dog's map. Well, I guess they've got this one. But
Yeah, they've got this map.
the last one, it's very beneficial to be the first team that gets to 2, because no matter what, map 5 is going to be your map pick.
Yeah.
But LNX Army moving forward into, I believe, push.
Yep.
You just gotta feel like Esperanza is the best course of action here. I mean, everything that they've wanted to do thus far has been, you know, exemplified by the way that you play on Esperanza, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want for the most part on Esperanza. You want to run the dive? Sure, that works. You want to run the rush? Okay, that's fine. You want to run a poke? That works too. I mean, it's not as good as the other comps, but it's still very viable. So moving it into push, I definitely think Esperanza should be where LNX goes.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless of where they choose to go, which I agree with you, it should be Esperanza, or Esperanza, you know, American pronunciation, but we're both wrong. It's New Queen Street. But like I was saying, regardless of where you go, there's a bit of a synergy issue that I feel like I'm starting to notice from LNX Army, which is coming with the timing of these sound barriers, whether it's, you know, the Lucio, you know, themselves trying to hold back and wait for the right moment or what have you, but, or if it's just, you know, maybe a team call that's not coming through at the right time, but these sound barriers could be, you know, just a second faster, and it could provide so much utility in surviving the onslaught that Royal Dogs has been throwing at them with these DPS ults, right? I feel like the sound barrier, it's there, it's online every single time, but it just comes through either after a pick has come through or just a little bit too late to save somebody every single time. And that has to be an adaptation made, you know, for LNX Army, especially if you're heading to New Queen Street, which is going to be very brawl heavy. I'm expecting a lot of Ramatra. We're going to be in each other's face a lot, and it comes down to, you know, these Lucios really helping decide the tempo of the fight.
Alright. So moving forward to New Queen Street, we've got an interesting little bit of an update here. LNX Army are switching their players around. Baby Jesus moving to the support, Proper onto the DPS. I think they might have just brought out the GOAT. I don't know.
I mean, Proper on DPS with a Tracer icon, that alone should inspire fear into anybody who knows any level of competitive Overwatch, right? So maybe trying to channel some of that divine power of one of the GOATs themselves. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say either of them have been underperforming on their roles, but you know, if you're making a swap like this, you're not doing it just at random. There's got to be some confidence behind it, and I'm expecting to see, you know, the value come out from it. You know, who knows if it's specific heroes that they can both flex to now or what have you, but it'll be interesting to see the value.
It will be interesting, as the thunder outside is very, very loud. Shaking my whole apartment right now, but yeah, I'm interested to see, because Royal Dogs, what they want to do is definitive, right? They want Ramatra. That's all they want is Ramatra. 8 has looked so great on the Ramatra, and Sky and Nock, you know, their DPS selections are unconventional, but it's working. You don't usually see a Cassidy and a Sojourn. It's usually one or the other. But you know, both of those characters can provide a lot of upfront damage, and Sky and Nock are doing a great job of that. And Sky specifically getting so much value with one of the worst ultimates in the game.
I mean, okay, if we were talking a few seasons ago, I agree with you. Deadeye is awful. Tragic. But there's been quite a few buffs that have come through, Cassidy gets a little bit of damage mitigation while that Deadeye is going on, as well as the damage, it ramps up exponentially faster now. So if you're able to be in a situation where you have someone like 8 holding the space for you so you can actually channel it for longer than 2 seconds, I mean, it really can be a devastating ultimate in these team fights. Royal Dogs, they're rolling out exactly what we expected them to roll on. LNX Army, meanwhile, they're getting a little bit creative. They have the Orisa in tow, but obviously the big highlight is going to be Venture, proper, ready to highlight on this one. Already hindered.
No!
That's not the way you want to start.
Not quite able to get under the ground and without proper in the fight any longer. Yeah, LNX Army they just get blown past again. Like it was just such a fast fight that LNX Army had no to respond.
Yeah, I mean, when you lose somebody that quickly, there's just exactly no real option for anything to occur. And it's a very interesting sort of setup they have here, right? They're not taking any of the long range options, no Sojourn in sight. It limits their range a bit, but when they're able to get up close and personal, I feel like this Ramatra from 8 is really going to start feeling the pressure.
Sky has to roll away from that fight as Proper gets in it to the back line. That drill dash able to take down Eden early, so that's a lot of the healing gone for Royal Dogs, and LNX Army finally finds some stabilization, especially with the death of Sky.
Yep, that late kill is going to solidify some card progress now going the other way, and again, it's just going to be about holding this space aggressively. You're seeing how far up Proper is holding, confidently being able to just burrow underground when they need to, thanks to the power of Venture there. So, heading on into this next one, Royal Dogs are going to want to get aggressive, getting close to these ultimates once again.
Alright, here we go. Now the lead very, very close. The Deadeye from Sky canceled immediately by Arasaria. 8 going to get aggro here. Has the Annihilation, but will not need it, and they're going to be able to stabilize and take this bot back without losing the lead.
That's absolutely massive. They could be in a potential situation where they're going to secure the first checkpoint here, and they only had to invest that Deadeye. LNX Army sure threw the Kitsune Rush into it, but otherwise they have everything online themselves. Of course, I'm expecting this fight to start off with Royal Dogs getting aggressive, with already almost taking out Arasaria.
Now Annihilation, Coalescence out. The spear hit someone, but I did not see who there. Now we need to find some kind of value for LNX Army with one of their ultimates, as the checkpoint will be unlocked. Corex takes a little bit of damage, but not quite able to find something with the Deadeye. Terra Surge from Arasaria needs something, anything. They're taking so much damage, and Sky is able to clean up that damage, but Proper on this Venture, finding so much damage, so much value. The burrow able to take down Eden, and it's just the Ramatra back here all alone, and the bot will go back to LNX.
Yeah, a lot of Royal Dogs is going to get these forward spawns here. I believe it's only the Ramatra who's going to get shortchanged on that one, but that's a crucial character to not have, right away. So now you're going to be looking towards this next fight. Proper has the Tectonic Shock online. Of course, following us as the Sound Barrier on the other side of things, ready to counter that one, as well as Sky building towards yet another Deadeye. Could be crucial here.
Proper just, once again, not able to get under the earth with that burrow, and without Proper, you just have to disengage if you're LNX. Oh, yeah, no, it's over.
It's over. You get the pick on the Sky, super nice, but losing your tank is just unfortunately not a winnable situation at the current moment here. So Royal Dogs, they should be able to get at least back to this checkpoint to re-enable their forward spawns here if they're willing to get aggressive on these few characters that are left standing.
Alright, Proper needs to find big value with this Tectonic Surge. We will see if they can do just that. The Ramatra Shield is no longer in play, so could it do something here? But LNX Army are going to be able to force Royal Dogs back for the time being. Sky pops the Deadeye. Not going to get canceled this time. The Kitsune Rush from Stellar going to come out early, or late that is, and the Deadeye going to be able to clean that up, and just the initiative is not there for LNX Army. And Royal Dogs, with their rotations, with their disengagements, they've been able to take over this fight and push back through the checkpoint.
Yeah, and it's weird because I feel like it was a 4v4 fight there for a while, but just, you know, LNX Army, they chose to disengage at a very odd time, and so now more and more push going through for Royal Dogs here, who really are starting to get a strong foothold onto this map. They're going to have another Coalescence heading into this next fight, and Ultimate they can really just chuck out along with Nox, you know, Overclock.
Yeah, both the Annihilation and the Coalescence do come out. Corex coming up big with the Overclock. Anak tries to answer with one of their own, but not quite able to find the value just yet. Proper still holding on to this Tectonic Surge. Needs to pop it. It does so much damage. Here we go, finally. Able to pop it, get a little bit of that damage, but not anything after that as they lose Proper. Sky does go down here, but right now, Royal Dogs are still so far in control as Follow in the back line, casually taking down LNX Army's back line.
Yeah, and now you have to start worrying, you know, not just about LNX getting back in control, but Royal Dogs could just finish the map instead of, you know, having to wait it out or deal with anything like that. Corex taking out the Widowmaker, not the hero this time around. LNX Army, they really need to figure something out.
Need to figure something out, and a quick 8 has to pop the Nemesis form in the face of Arasaria now on the Malga. They're gonna back up here for the time being. Does not have the barrier just yet, now throws it up. Arasaria dealing so much damage in this Deadeye. They are so apprehensive, as they should be. Now the sound barrier able to cancel out the Deadeye that time, as they're just ripping through Arasaria's health. And the disengagement gonna come from Royal Dogs. They haven't lost anyone, and now they will. Proper able to find the pick there on it to follow. Sky down. Arasaria dealing so much damage. Burn, critical, all of it for the Malga is going to be LNX Army. Finally finding a foothold here.
Yeah, I mean, but they're finding it incredibly late. 120 meters already went the way of Royal Dogs, and that's going to be several fights that you have to win for LNX Army, including the fact you haven't even gotten the checkpoint back in your favor yet. Crucial thing here is that the Sojourn did not get the forward spawn.
Okay.
Ooh, Proper!
Yeah, I mean, that was as good as you could ask there. Now LNX Army has the space to capture the point. You know,
yeah,
they were waiting for the Sojourn. Now they gotta wait for the Moira.
Yeah, and they're gonna get forward spawns here. And you're seeing LNX Army already starting to try to play this corner. You're seeing how aggressive Arasaria is getting on the Malga, and this is the space you have to hold.
Corex on this Widowmaker trying to find something. Cannot. Unfortunately, receives a headshot there from Corex. Now Arasaria with this cage fight out. Needs to find a kill in it. Lest they, get the Annihilation off. That is unfortunate. Now the Overclock from Proper has to be big. It's a trade of Lucio's with that ultimate, as Arasaria does not have the Cardiac Overdrive, but Proper still in the backline finding value. Does go down, and LNX Army falter, but they did get the close spawns.
Yeah, they should be getting everybody back on this close spawn, and I feel like there has to be a massive pick from the other side of this DPS line. Corex really needs to come up big on this Widowmaker. There's a lot of space being provided, but you've got to take advantage of it. Otherwise, you're just really being almost a cosmetic hero here. Heading on to this next fight, you're going to see another Overclock come out, this time from Nock, though.
All right, a nice little shot there, but cancel out by the fact that Nock rolled right through the... Nock rolled right through the Mega Health Pack, takes down Proper as well. Now the sound barrier from Baby Jesus, a little bit too late. Now going into these final fights, 1 minute remaining on the clock. They have that. They just need to disengage. They used the Kitsune Rush?
They're coming.
They're just crumbling.
Yeah, that is not a good look in the slightest. Nobody's going to get the forward spawns there, as they simply were not activated in their favor just yet. I mean, so Royal Dogs should be able to reactivate their own forward spawns here. This has somehow become a Hanzo mirror on both sides without me even realizing it. But yeah, I mean, Royal Dogs, they have some good ultimates here. The question is, do they hold them for a final overtime fight, or do they simply, you know, try to take a fight outright, win it here, and then win the second one later?
Big thing, they didn't get their close spawns. So LNX Army have that at least in their pocket, but the Coalescence from Eden canceled! Both of the ultimates, both support ultimates, just stomped out of existence by Arasaria. And now Sky in the backline able to take down Corex, but this fight has already gone in the way of LNX? With a question mark? I mean,
yeah, Sky absolutely just put on a clinic there, being able to get those picks in the backline, but ultimately had to pay for their own hubris and proper being able to take the Sojourn out of that one as well. It's going to be a very interesting sort of overtime situation here. We're going to have another Annihilation. It's going to be matched with a cage fight. No support ultimates, but everything else online. So these Dragon Strikes coming through on Car are also going to deal devastating amounts of damage to anybody who attempts to touch.
all right. Arasaria with the cage fight, wants it soon, will pop it here now. The Dragon Strike, the Annihilation dealing too much damage for Arasaria's Cardiac Overdrive to heal, and LNX Army cannot get the job done. The Royal Dogs, they're going to repeat what happened a few weeks ago, a 3-1 victory over LNX Army and a date with the Pumpkins in round 2.
A 3-1 does not do this match justice. They just absolutely, toe-to-toe every single map. Going back and forth, composition swaps, hero plays coming out left, right, and center. But at the end of the day, Royal Dogs, they were able to stand tall against the onslaught of LNX Army, and they'll be continuing to move on in this upper bracket.
Yeah, and like I said, they've got a date with Pumpkins for the Royal Dogs. LNX Army does fall to that lower bracket now. So they've only got one life left, but the good thing is that they do have a life left. That's always something that you can hang your hat on. As long as you are in that lower bracket, you're still alive. So, hats off to Royal Dogs. They move on to face Pumpkins. They're going to be top 6. So, well, I guess every team is top 6 here in this bracket. But, yeah, good win from Royal Dogs. They came up clutch in a lot of fights where really they shouldn't have. And, the DPS line...
Fletch is just enthralled by the thunder outside, I see.
Scared me, man. I don't know, but what I do know is that Royal Dogs, that DPS line came up big time after time after time. Sky, I mean, was just a menace. Doesn't matter what hero he was on. It was just disgusting. The Cassidy, the Hanzo, it was absolute domination. Even on the map that they lost on Oasis, it felt like Sky was getting a lot of value. And on the 3 maps that they did win, it was because Sky, not just because Sky was doing well, but Sky made these massive, massive plays and clutched up fights that Royal Dogs otherwise probably wouldn't have won.
Yeah, Royal Dogs, I mean, they played well. They knew what they wanted to play. They were branching out in their own way with this Ramatra in tow. And as well, Liz, it's an unsupported Ramatra, right? There's not that Mei there to help make it easier for you. You have just those DPS trying to go do their own thing, get the massive amount of picks. So props has to be given to the whole squad for that one. And, just amazing to see how much better and how much further they can go in this bracket.
Yep. But unfortunately, that will do it for us right now. We do have, another stream going on CGL2. I'm sure we're gonna raid over there for the match on the other side of the bracket. Actually, it'll be Plate Group versus Munich Esports Celestial. We'll probably head over there after we cut off, and then we have another match tonight in our console open tier NA side. It'll be Red Team versus Loud Gaming, so that should be an excellent match there tonight. So there's a lot of CGL playoff action going on today and through the next month or so, so look forward to that. Hit the follow button, hit that notification button. There's going to be so many matches to come through this playoffs. It's just round 1. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And we'll see you. Me and Megalast will see y'all tomorrow.
What you want? Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My my love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave.